How's it going, everyone? Okay, today I wanted to talk about an issue that's been going on in the gaming community. Um, More so a issue in the Nintendo Switch community. Um, you see, recently Switch owners have been, how do I put this? Let's just say Switch owners are being taken advantage of. Now, if you know gamers like me, Switch owners like me, I prefer physical media because, a physical copy of a game just has more value to me. Check my videos, like my Fatal Frame videos I made before on like YouTube, here on YouTube, or if you're watching this on Twitter, you can check my YouTube channel. Switch owners, you deserve better. Recently, a lot of Nintendo Switch games are being released physically, and they're being released incomplete. Some games not even coming with the cartridge at all. Now, understandably, you got games like Overwatch and Fortnite, games of which that require an internet to play. So it'd be understandable why would they wouldn't release the cartridge, but I still think releasing the game at retail store incomplete, in a case with just a download code, that's still kind of pointless when you think about it. But when you look at digital only games for the Switch, there's games like Wolfenstein: The Young Blood. I mean, whether you love it or hate it, I still think it needed a physical copy for the Switch. And then you got games like Final Fantasy X Part 10-2 HD Collection, where only Final Fantasy X got a physical copy, but not 10 Part 2. Now I heard you can import it from Asian territories and you'll have both games on one cartridge. And if push comes to shove, I could probably import it from another region. It's not a big deal. But it's still kind of unfair to the American audience here, especially to any Switch owners who by chance don't have the internet to even get said content. I mean, just because it's 2019 going on 2020, it doesn't mean everyone's going to have internet. There's still going to be lower class families that can't even afford the internet, some of which have poor signal, poor internet strength, if you know what I mean, poor Wi-Fi signal. And then look at companies like Capcom, and they're kind of notorious for this. Resident Evil Revelations Collection, only the first game got a physical copy. Revelations 2, you have to download. And that kind of hits me on a personal level because Revelations 2 is my favorite out of the Revelations games. Nothing against the first game. I love it. It's a great game. I just thought Revelations 2 was kind of sharper, in my opinion. The Resident Evil Origins Collection, Resident Evil 0 got a physical copy. And the 2002 remake that was on the GameCube, that's a download only. Sorry for the stutter there. I'm thinking off the top of my head here. Resident Evil Triple Pack, only 4 got a physical release. Kind of not a ginormous deal for me because 4 is my favorite. But as far as the Origins Collection is concerned, nothing against Resident Evil 0. I like it. It's a decent game, but I personally just prefer the remake. And, I checked the file size on the Resident Evil Origins Collection. Like, I have it for PS4, and it's not that big of a game. I think it can fit on a Switch cartridge, a 32 gigabyte cartridge nonetheless. or if that's too much, then they could print it on a smaller cartridge. And now, Resident Evil Triple Pack, like I mentioned before, only Resident Evil 4 got a physical copy. It kind of doesn't necessarily, well, it should affect Switch owners, because when you buy a physical copy, when it's a collection like Final Fantasy X collection, the Resident Evil Triple Pack, the Resident Evil Revelations collection, Origins collection, that kind of thing, they should fit both. They should have the power and the money to fit both games on one cartridge. The Resident Evil Triple Pack, I think chances are they could have fit all 3 games on one cartridge. I mean, do I think Nintendo can still increase the cartridge limitations for the Switch cartridges? Yeah, sure, and I'll get into that in a second, but maybe that can make it easy on third-party developers. But anyways, and here's another problem from Capcom. Devil May Cry HD Trilogy is finally getting ported to the Switch, because come 2020, that's when Devil May Cry 3 comes out. But even in Japan, only Devil May Cry 1 is getting a physical copy. Out of all the Devil May Cry games, 1 is my second favorite. 3 will always be my main favorite. 4 and 5, they're my third and fourth favorite games in the series. Now, nothing against Devil May Cry 2. I like it. I think it's a good hack and slash game. I think it's a good Devil May Cry game, or at least passable. But at the same time, I'll agree, it's kind of the weakest link in the series. But that's still unacceptable. If you're going to sell the Devil May Cry HD Trilogy, all 3 games need to be on one cartridge. See, I've got the HD Trilogy on PS4, and I checked the file size. The file size is 12 gigabytes. 12.1 gigabytes. And yeah, that's plenty enough to print on a 16 gigabyte Switch cartridge. Anyways, and to make matters even worse, I recently picked up Assassin's Creed Rebel Collection, where you get Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and what was the other? Assassin's Creed Rogue. The only problem is only Assassin's Creed 4 got a physical copy. And to me that makes no sense, because when Assassin's Creed 3 got remastered, it got both Liberation and Assassin's Creed 3 both on one cartridge. And with the Rebel Collection, only 4 got a physical release. Assassin's Creed Rogue, you kind of have to download it. Well, actually, you do have to download it. And again, I think that's kind of false advertising from Ubisoft, because they didn't put a warning label on the front cartridge. A lot of game companies are known to do that. They give you a warning label, like this game got a physical release and the other's a download code. And I think that's unacceptable. Now, before any Nintendo fanboy or any blind loyalty fanboy of any kind gets on to me and says, well, it's 2019, digital's the future, so you might as well embrace it. If you're going to behave like that, then yeah, you're the problem. That's no excuse. Even if you prefer digital, and I'm not saying everyone who prefers digital is just a blind loyalty fanboy or anything like that. I understand the convenience of digital. Keep in mind, I'm not necessarily anti-digital distribution. I personally prefer physical media because it just has more value than digital downloads. And I have made digital distribution an exception from time to time. Like recently, I've been thinking about getting a PlayStation gift card for my PlayStation Vita. See, I got a physical copy of Legend of Dragoon on PS1. Pretty good game, by the way. It's really fun, great for JRPG fanatics. And I thought about getting a PlayStation, a $20 PlayStation gift card just to download it on my PlayStation Vita so I could play it on the go. The only problem is there won't be much value of it because, a digital download just, it doesn't have the same value as a physical copy. Like those games that I mentioned, Revelations 2, Resident Evil Remake, Resident Evil 5, 6, Devil May Cry 2 and 3. Let's see, what else? Final Fantasy X Part 2, Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, and X Legacy Collection 2. Now, granted, the second Legacy Collection of Mega Man and Mega Man X, I can import a physical copy from Japan, and if push comes to shove, I may have to do that. But I still think it's unfair to Western audiences who wanted a physical copy, especially if they ain't got it. If they ain't got the internet to either download it or just import a physical copy. This has to stop, okay? And I'm gonna explain why. If years down the road, say the servers to the Nintendo Switch go out, all those download only games. I also forgot to mention like Okami HD and Onimusha HD. The very first Onimusha Warlords. Those are all digital only games. Especially here in the West. I mean, Japan, they got physical copies for the Switch, but not here in the West. So once the servers to the Switch go down, those digital downloads are gone for good. The only way you can get a physical copy is if you can get them on PS4 like I got. And Assassin's Creed Rogue, I do have it physically on the PS3, so at least it's not the end of the world for me, but it is a huge letdown to Nintendo Switch owners. And they do deserve better. See, what you're looking at here is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. Includes both expansion packs, Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine, and 16 different DLCs. And here's the funny thing. I'm not really a big fan of the Witcher series. And I mainly got this because I loved how the physical copy of the game was handled. And, I didn't just buy it to put it on my shelf and not play it. No, I'm definitely going to play it. And chances are I may end up liking it. I might end up being a big fan of the Witcher series. I've heard great things about them. CD Projekt Red, they're a pretty talented company. They make great games. Like, look at this one. Over 800 Game of the Year awards from IGN, GameSpot, and the Game Awards. And I've seen unboxing videos of this. And I can tell, yeah, CD Projekt Red knows how to treat their customers. So without further ado, let's crack this open. Sorry about that. Let me, okay. Sorry, I'm checking the camera a bit. Let me see if I can position the camera here. Okay. There we go. Now, let's see what we get inside. Here we got the game. And wait, hold on, there's some more stuff in here. we got The Witcher universe. I'm not entirely sure what this is. I think this is like the manual of the game, which is kind of cool when you think about it, because we often don't see these manuals anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can do without them, but it would be nice to see them return. Okay. Oh, some stickers. Don't know if I'm going to use them, but who knows. And I don't want to unfold this too much, but this is the map of the game. A huge open world game. And a thank you note. Dear gamers, welcome to a massive open world filled with stories that touch the soul, adventures that thrill, and secrets that will keep you exploring. The complete edition contains every piece of content ever released. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, 16 free DLCs, as well as 2 story expansions, Hearthstone and Blood and Wine. That's well over 150 hours. Gosh, I don't know if I'm going to have that kind of time. 150 hours of adventures ahead of you. Everything made with love. We'd like to massively thank you for buying our game. As a studio, we think there's a lot of value in honest and transparent communication. So honestly and transparently, without you supporting us, there would be no us to begin with. It's because of you that we can make a living doing what we love, telling stories through video games. In return, we work as hard as we can to bring you an extraordinary game. Actually, to bring you extraordinary games. There was a correction there. We hope you'll see that reflected in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Here's to you having a fantastic time. Yours truly, everyone at CD Projekt Red. I'm going to address this. We'd like to massively thank you for buying our game. As a studio, we think there's a lot of value in honest and transparent communication. So honestly and transparently, without you supporting us, there would be no us to begin with. It's because of you that we can make a living doing what we love, telling stories through video games. In return, we work as hard as we can to bring you extraordinary games. So think about that, for example. Where these games have been getting digital only releases, like I mentioned before, you had a lot of gamers, blind loyalty fanboys, rather if they're just Nintendo or whatever said company, they keep telling you, well, you need to stop complaining anyway. You need to be grateful you even got it. No, that's not how it works, unfortunately. Gamers are customers. Customers are the ones with the money. And they have every right to be angry when there's an issue. See, it's not the customer that needs to be thankful that the industry is successful. It's the industry that should be successful because we're the ones who support them. We have a right to be angry when there's an issue. We have a right to be upset when our demands are not met. And I'll explain. Look at that. The Witcher 3... Sorry, that's a little blurry. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. A complete 50 gigabyte. If I remember correctly, this game was a 50 gigabyte game according to the file size, and they were able to fit it all on one 32 gigabyte cartridge. All the DLC, the 2 expansion packs, the entire game is on this cartridge. So what's every other company's excuse? What's Capcom's excuse for printing one cartridge and the other 3 games, or the other 2 games being a digital download, like the Resident Evil Triple Pack or Devil May Cry HD Trilogy? What about Resident Evil Origins Collections and Revelations Collection? One game getting a cartridge and the other getting a download. What's Capcom's excuse? What about the Spyro Reignited trilogy? Now, I do want to address, if you're a PS4 or Xbox One owner, you can pick up a physical copy of the game and make sure it's the 2019 reprint. You open the case up, it'll have an advertisement for Crash Team Racing Nitro Field. The 2019 reprint of Spyro the Reignited trilogy is a complete game. Even though the case says required download, it still has all 3 games on the disc and all the levels. Because if you got the 2018 edition, you'd have to download the rest of the trilogy. 2 and 3, yeah, they were on the disc, but you had to download the rest of the worlds and the level, and and their levels. But if you get the 2019 reprint, you'll have all the games on the disc. But look at Switch owners. I saw a video of it on Twitter, and only the first world, the Artisan Worlds, I think that's what it's called. Forgive me, it's been a while since I played Spyro, but only the Artisan Worlds and its levels were printed on the cartridge. What's Activision's excuse? Why could they not print the entire trilogy on one Switch cartridge? What's their excuse? And before you say, well, it was too big to fit on a 32 Switch gigabyte cartridge, look at what you're looking at right now. This was a 50 gigabyte game. Over 50, 55 gigabytes. I'm not sure what the PS4 or Xbox One gigabyte manual said, but I've done my research, and this game is a pretty big game. 50 gigabytes of installation data. And they could fit it all on one cartridge. All the DLC, the complete edition. So, again, what's Activision's excuse? What's stopping them from printing the entire Spyro Reignited trilogy on one Switch cartridge? I mean, what's stopping them from doing it? It can't be because too much money to lose from, because Activision's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. What's going to stop them from printing all that data on the disc? This is just something to think about. If you prefer physical media like I do, then you should have a right to be upset. I mean, do I still think Nintendo can make bigger Switch cartridges? Because if I remember correctly, 2019 of this year, we were supposed to get 64 gigabyte Switch cartridges. Would I still like to see them happen? Yeah. Would I like to see them expand the limitations to make it easier on, supposedly make it easier on third-party developers? Excuse me for that cough there. Anyways, again, this is a ginormous game, complete edition, all the DLC, everything on one 32 gigabyte Switch cartridge. Here's the thing. Here's something to think about. Switch owners, you deserve better. If you prefer physical media like I do, heck, even if you prefer digital, you could still have the common sense to know that one cartridge and one download, the half of the game on the cartridge or half of the collection on the cartridge and the other half being a download code, yeah, that's taking advantage of your customers. Like, there's a guy I follow on Twitter, even he believes that one game getting a physical copy and the rest being a download is unacceptable. And again, I understand some of you prefer digital, but you got to think about something. When gamers buy a physical copy of a game, they want a complete game. And then later on, if they want to do DLC, like expansion packs, kind of like Hearts of Stone, The Blood and Wine, that kind of thing, all right, fine. But when you're selling like a trilogy, I'm sorry if you hear barking or squeaking, those are my dogs. You see something like the Devil May Cry HD trilogy, Spyro Reignited trilogy, or Resident Evil collections, the triple pack, Revelations collection, Origins collection, that kind of thing, or the Final Fantasy X HD collection.
They could have fit all those games on those cartridges. They could have fit both I mean, like I said, if CD Projekt Red can do it with The Witcher 3, if they can print an entire game on one cartridge, like I said, if I remember correctly, the file size was over 50 gigabytes. And they were able to fit it all on a 32 gigabyte cartridge. So what was stopping the other companies? You know, what was stopping a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Activision from printing the entire trilogy on a Spyro cartridge? You know, the Spyro trilogy. What was stopping them from printing the entire trilogy on one cartridge? It could have been done. Switch owners, it's time to rise up and take a stand. Express your consumer rights. Express your options. Because this is a violation of first sale doctrine laws. First sale doctrines is a law that ensures the right of all consumers to purchase legally made copywritten material. When you buy a physical game, it's sold to you, not licensed. It's a shady business practice how they would print one game on a cartridge and make the rest a download code. You deserve better. It's not you that should be thankful. It's the company. To any third-party game company out there watching this video by some chance, listen to us. Listen to your fans. Listen to your customers, your actual supporters. We do deserve better. You should be thankful that we even support you. Because remember this thank you note from CD Projekt Red. What's your excuse? You know, especially Capcom, what's your excuse for not localizing the Okami HD physical copy for the Switch? I understand PS4 and Xbox One, like Onimusha Warlords, they got localized in the West, but physical copies for the Switch of Okami and Onimusha, what's your excuse for not localizing them? What was stopping you from printing both games on a cartridge? This is unacceptable. Gamers, Switch owners, if you prefer physical media, it's time to rise up and take a stand. Remember, customers have more power than the industry. I understand digital distribution may be on the rise of taking over, but there's always going to be those who prefer physical media. So even if you're pro-digital, and again, I'm not trying to throw shade at you. I'm not trying to insult you for preferring digital. If you prefer digital, that's fine. But physical media still matters. We have to have it. Let's all take a stand against shady business practices like this. Remember, you have more power than the industry. It's not you that should be thankful. It's the company. I hope you guys can think about that, especially if you prefer physical media like me, especially if you're a Switch owner, because you do deserve better. So thank y'all for watching. Y'all have a good day. And with that, I'm out.